It's now time for Mad Markets, and Paul Theron from Vestac joins me. Hello, Paul.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, so ratings agencies, US debt ceiling, 14th Amendment possibility, very exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, it's going fantastically.
And all they have to do is actually decide.
Well, it's wonderful. They've got all these options knocking around. Meanwhile, some people are starting to talk about emergency technical solutions.
Yeah.
I mean, there are three out there. The one is that the Fed should just let the Treasury go into debit, on its account, which sounds like a bit weird.
Yes, it
and
does.
then there's talk of issuing a $1 trillion platinum coin. I've seen that one. But the one that sounds more believable is this 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
Who brought it to your attention, Paul?
Yeah, no, it's been knocking around. I saw you tweeted something about it, something about some weird incense. I don't know.
Well, they're saying that we need to invoke the 14th Amendment, so
yes.
I was in jest saying candles and incense required.
I see.
And the last time it was invoked actually was in 1995 by Bill Clinton when the bailout for the Mexican banks came to the fore. So it's a possibility it could actually happen.
Because what it is the thing that says you can't discriminate against someone economically. It's like a very vague thing, and it's been used to regulate relations between the federal government and the states up till now.
It's actually a back door, an exit door in a sense.
So I don't know. I mean, that could be one of the ways of solving this thing, because it has always seemed to me a bit of a technical issue. But I quite have enjoyed the discussions about what a rich society ought to, do with its money and whether it can afford it and all that.
Okay, so why do you think that there is a stalemate at this point in time? And we know they're talking about budget cuts of $2.2 trillion.
It's all about politics. In America, it's all about what will you commit to and how will that make you look in a year's time when the next election comes up. So obviously Barack Obama, who's running for re-election, doesn't want to be the guy that had to do something unpopular, and conversely the Republicans don't want to put their name to something which he can then thrash them with next year when the election is ongoing.
And the ratings agencies having a field day.
Well, in fact, they seem to be getting more prominent now. It's quite interesting, where they're now coming
more
out.
decisive and aggressive in a sense.
And they're coming out and saying this is what we would accept in terms of a ratings downgrade. I mean, it's all high theatre, but it's where we are right now.
Let me ask you this. 10-year Treasury yields, where do you think that would go if we did see a downgrade in the US? And above 3%, it starts to get dangerous.
Well, I guess what the market is telling you is that that's not anticipated, because if it was, then that would already be priced in. So I'm going to go with the idea that this thing gets resolved one way or the other.
Dunkin' Donuts. Do you eat donuts?
Well, everybody's been moaning about the LinkedIn and all these other kind of listings. So I hope those people that have been moaning about those were signing up and getting stuck into the Dunkin' Donuts IPO in New York this afternoon. But Dunkin' Donuts, they make those fantastic tasting donuts.
Is that a belly? We're eating some donuts today.
I need to stay away from those. But in fact, they make more money from coffee. Apparently in America, people buy lots of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
Because they dunk their donuts in the coffee, Paul.
But what a ridiculous name, Dunkin' Donuts.
Because they dunk it in stuff. That's sugar stuff. Anyway, Dr. Copper.
Yeah, well, my theory here, Dr. Copper, people talk about Dr. Copper. It's the guy that tells you the copper price, tells you how it's going with the world economy. But very interestingly, it's the supply side on the copper markets which look quite weak, because Escondida, they've had strikes.
So we're seeing
a bit of a
deficit,
So I'm really expecting copper prices to stay strong, and that's of course why we'd be buying BHP Billiton at times like these.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about Dr. Swiss Frank.
Dr. Swiss Frank. Why on earth would people think that Switzerland is a safe haven? What do they have in Switzerland? They've got secretive people, cheese, Swiss army knives, mountains. Why is that the safe haven? I mean, give me a break. Switzerland.
And Dr. Yen. Because these are the safe haven. This is where you rush to safety. It's gold, Swiss franc, and it's still perceived as the yen. Of course.
Well, I guess that comes back to your question about where would you see yields going? Because at the end of the day, what are you going to do in a world as it is today? Where are you going to be rushing to put your money? People talk about how you've got to get out of risk assets because you might be worried about something like this happening. But Japanese, they've got problems of their own. The Swiss, I mean, that's not exactly the most bulletproof society in the world. Europe looks horrible. America looks a little bit dodgy. So, quite frankly, you just got to stay where you are.
ArcelorMittal results. What would you say is going to be the outcome? I thought you were going to ask me the joke of the day now. Joke of the day.
ArcelorMittal, I would never buy those shares. I mean, have you ever seen such a patchy profit record, up 1 year, down the next?
Actually, I take my question back. Tell me the joke of the day.
No, the joke of the day is about the guy that goes to see his psychologist and says, Doctor, I'm addicted to Twitter. And the doctor says to him, I'm sorry, I don't follow you.
I like that. You see, that makes me laugh. Thank you, Paul, for joining me. Much appreciated.